Good morning.
Good morning. It is Sunday morning, July 23rd, 2023, and we're glad you've joined us. Our title today is The Way of the Wise Warrior, and I'm going to begin with a reading. This reading is from a book 365, but it's one that's by Dr. Ernest Holmes and Dr. Charles Barker, 365 Days of Richer Living. And it's entitled, I Have Power. If we're wise warriors, we have to know we have power. So it states, goodness gracious. So it states, it is because the Spirit of God is incarnated in us that we have dominion over this world of effects. And a little aside, the world of effects is all of the physical circumstances that are in our lives that appear to be real, and in fact are real as we experience them, but are also changeable. And so the affirmation is, today I exercise my spiritual dominion through the recognition that good alone is real, that God is the only presence and love and the only power. Today, I rise above the sense of separation into a consciousness of my union with good. Today, I understand the power of God flows through me to everything I contact. I declare that my God-given dominion is exercised over everything I do, say, or think. I am guided by divine intelligence, which goes before me and makes perfect my way. I exercise dominion over my environment, over every circumstance and condition that I contact. I know that the divine mind operating through me will arrange all my affairs in harmony and in prosperity. Divine power flows into my thought and work. Peace and harmony attend everything I do. Love and protection are ever present. I am guided, guarded, and sustained by an everlasting strength, power, and wisdom. And so it is.
Beautiful. Before we get too far along, I want to shout out to a book that you ought to all purchase if you don't already have it or you haven't already read it. And it's Dan Millman's The Peaceful Warrior. And I suggest that book because a lot of our talk today is validated or affirmed or added to by his incredible piece of work. So I just recommend that.
Yes, it's excellent. And I wanted to start out with another quote. You know, Ernest Holmes talked about the Greek philosopher Plotinus. And I remember also one of our presidents, whose name is not in the tip of my tongue right now, what quoted him in a book of philosophers. And with this one sentence, I can see why. Just with this one sentence, if he'd never said anything else, because it is the essence of the science of mind. He says, I let fall the seeds. Oops, I backed up. Excuse me. Let me back up. Plotinus said, I do not argue. I contemplate. And as I contemplate, I let fall the seeds of thought into the mirror of mind, which then becomes the matter of matter. I'm going to repeat that again. So it's so good. I do not argue. I contemplate. And as I contemplate, I let fall the seeds of thought into the mirror of mind, which then becomes the matter of matter.
Mhm.
So that is really the power of the peaceful warrior, knowing that through thinking, through contacting the one mind and speaking the truth, you know, with that first reading that I read, it said that we know the truth is, and the truth means what is eternally true, what is true of God. And we know that is also true of us. So when we state that in an affirmation and we believe it, starts that cascade of causation, creating that in our lives. So we can really let go of the fear that we might have. So then David Robinson, who was a minister in Olympia, Washington, says the way of the world is the unpeaceful, unwise warrior. They joust at every windmill that comes along. The wise warrior is already anchored in peace and poise. They are focused on what needs to happen without needing to fight. They recognize that all is one already. All they bring is a recentering into that oneness.
Beautiful.
Yes, because when we think of the word warrior, we think of someone who's ready to fight and fight a war. And there are peaceful warriors also. There are wise warriors who perhaps fight for the good, but they fight for it in peaceful ways.
Yeah, a fight doesn't always mean doubling up your fist or striking someone. A fight can simply be taking a stand
Exactly.
that outlasts any other position that anyone else might have. I'm reminded, and when you first started talking about the title of the talk yesterday to me, what came to me was a flash. One of my favorite, I think, 90s or 80s TV series that was Kung Fu, and who was referred to as Grasshopper, which I really liked because it spoke to the humility that was required to be in a position of having such incredible power. So Kung Fu was given was taught the skills that he needed to develop the skills he needed to be very powerful and to still be a grasshopper. But what struck
And a
me,
powerful fighter.
yeah, what struck me when I read it or when I thought about it was one of the exercises that his master gave him to do was to walk on a sheet of rice paper and not tear it. And I thought, how often when we're walking into the consciousness of another person, do we inadvertently tear the paper? Do we leave footprints that that person then reacts to? How can we walk into this life and in the lives of other people without disrupting or destroying or distracting or in some way debilitating the ability to be creative and to function and to find beauty and to find solution and to find resolution? And so I think the journey is one where we leave no footprints. I'm reminded of another one of my heroes, Cat Stevens, who in one of his songs called Jazzero, I'm just a zero, whatever you think of me, I'm really quite a bit less. And I thought initially when I heard that, I thought, what do you mean you're quite a bit less? I'm so much less than you think I am, and I'm so much more than anyone could conceive of. And we are all so much more, but we unfortunately spend a lot of our time very often trying to have people see the part of us that we want them to see so that they see us as full size, as important and valuable, without recognizing we have value, whether people see it or state it or not. And another analogy or another thing that comes to mind is when you, we've been watching a lot of nature programs recently, and I love the nature documentaries. But when you see a jaguar laying on the ground, just relaxing and resting, he's not attacking, he's not doing anything that would in any way imply that he would be dangerous. But there's no question in your mind about who he is. Who he is and and his strength and his capacity. He doesn't have to wield it. He doesn't have to get up and say, excuse me, by the way, have you seen the things that I've done recently? I'm a jaguar and I have quite a history. And he doesn't say any of that. He simply says, I am. If we could do I am, period, and know that it's enough to know that we're sufficient, we would be very different in many of our experiences, many of our relationships.
Right. I wanted to share this other. This was interesting to me. It comes from Sitting Bull,
Mm,
Native American Sitting Bull, and he was a great chief. And he said, warriors are not what you think of as warriors. The warrior is not someone who fights. The warrior for us is the one who sacrifices themselves for the good of others. Their task is to take care of the elderly, the defenseless, and those who cannot provide for themselves. And above all, the children, the future of humanity. So I'm sure most would think of Sitting Bull as a great warrior, although he probably didn't participate in any raids or anything like that. His job is to protect the helpless.
Yeah, and they didn't call him Fighting Bull or Dancing Bull. They called him Sitting
Sitting
Bull.
Bull.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, that
This is
is
a man who
interesting.
sat in consciousness in a way that many of the monks from the East, Eastern philosophies have done. His position was not so dissimilar from that. And another example, I think, too, for me, which is really very powerful, is the martial arts Aikido. And I bring up Aikido for a couple of different reasons. One is that we are often met with what feels to be aggression and is aggression on the part of another person. We often feel attacked. And when we feel attacked, the tendency for us is to want to fight back or claim the battle or win the battle. When somebody upsets us, very often our instinctive response is to upset them as much or more. Not to resolve the problem, but do you see what you just did to me? Wait till you see what I'm going to do to you.
Mhm.
And it comes out of fear and the need to be powerful when one doesn't feel so powerful. Aikido, which is, if we were to do this as a mental practice, is nothing short of amazing. And when I say that, I mean, you take someone who's attacking you. There's no question about what their activity is. There's no question about the motion that you're seeing. There's no question about what they're doing. You simply take that energy and you move it in the direction that it's going and find a safe place for it on the ground. Meaning that if someone's attacking you, you take their arm, the one that they want to strike you with, and you pull it in the direction that they're going, set them down on the floor, and hope that they're not harmed. What's interesting is how non-aggressive that is, how non-threatening it is, how it doesn't have an intention to get even or to be superior or to be more powerful.
Mhm.
And what I watched happen was a young man in his middle 80s who was defending against a bunch of very, very much younger men in their 20s and 30s. They would attack him, and he kept one after another, set them down on the floor, and they had to get up and start over again. What was interesting to me was how little energy it took to not fight, but find room for someone who doesn't agree with you. How to find space for that. And so in conversation, it also can work as well when somebody says, "This is what's true." For you, and you can say, "No, it's not. This is what's true." Or you can say, "It sounds like that's your truth. We all have very different truths. And can I share my truth?" We're not tearing up the rice paper. We're not attacking or making the other person wrong, even if they stated what they stated in a way that made us wrong. When you're baited, one of the problems is you may also get hooked. And when you get hooked very often, then you're removed from the place that you're safe and where you have skills and where you have knowledge and where you can swim.
Right. When I wanted to talk about this, I also wanted to talk about how we often feel like we have to battle
Mhm.
the world of problems. And I know from talking to many of you individually that we all have our issues, we call them, things that we're working on, things we would like to see better, things that challenge us. And so when we have those, the thing to do is to remember you don't have to fight this. Instead of fighting it, you can know the truth of it. And by the truth, I know it's our truth, but it's our whole movement's truth. We're talking about the truth of God, that there can be no opposition to God in the long run. In the long run, it can appear to be in the short run. So I know that we and many of our people deal with the challenges of illnesses and dis-ease, particularly as we get older. And that's hard for many of us who've always been very healthy with the help of this teaching, of expecting to be healthy and being healthy and knowing the truth of health. And so as we get older and have this part need a little help and that part need a little help, we're very glad that this teaching acknowledges that Ernest Holmes said, whether by a pill or a prayer, it doesn't matter. It's all God.
Mm.
So we're very happy to accept the aid of the medical community to help us with this part of that. As we know, the truth is that we are perfect, whole, and complete. But I wanted to talk a little bit about our worries because I know we all have them. And what do we do about them? And instead of fighting for them to be better. So as I said, we have health challenges. We have financial challenges. We have feelings. Many people are feeling isolated and alone after coming out of this pandemic, and things have all changed and the work situations have changed, and even seeing your friends might be different than it used to be. And so you can feel isolated and alone. Family conflicts are always an issue, and how to solve those. And last but not least, the changes in our weather, the changes in our storms and our environment, all can be very intimidating and upsetting. We really don't like change. And yet we're changing all the time.
It's the only constant.
The only thing that is constant. So the way to deal with these things as we teach is to remember the truth about it. And the truth is that it's all God. So it means it's all good. And we go back to that power. That is, there's only one power, and that is the power of God that we can use by remembering that truth and stating it out loud, even in affirmations, reminding ourselves. It for me, it removes any fear. I can be, oh my God, what if, what do we do? And stating the truth just calms me down and reminds me that is the truth. And that allows it to demonstrate or come forth in your life.
Now, there's a step we often inadvertently take that disrupts this whole process, and that is, I know that there's something out there to be positive about. I know that things are going to work out, and that's not the problem. The problem is now I have to figure out how that's going to happen.
No, you
And
don't.
since I can't figure that out, I am slowed down or stopped from, or the process of believing or accepting is interrupted. And so again, it's another opportunity for us to say, I don't know how it's going to happen, and it's a mystery. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I know it will. I know that which operates in and through me is greater than my immediate knowledge or my immediate experience of explanation. So I'm going to leave that alone. If we can get out of having to explain everything, and in that kind of way, what we're attempting to do without meaning to is to be in control. If I can explain it and my explanation works, then I'm in control of the situation.
Mm.
And it's really underneath that is fear. I'm afraid if I don't have an explanation, if I can't explain it, then I can't have it. It won't work. So what we're doing and what Judith is talking about is turning it over to that which is greater
Exactly.
in all of us, knowing that it works, whether we are working on it, we're working with it, it's working with us. It couldn't help it.
Because the truth is, we are eternal beings. So the truth is, even if we have an illness or a body part that's not working as it used to, we will have eternal life.
Yeah.
You can't kill us. I mean, you can kill the physical body, but we go on, we continue.
Well,
And
that's why I got an American Express card, because it said you can take it with you. Yeah, maybe not.
and I just had another reminder of that. Something happened this week, and I was making appointments in August, and I came very close to the date of the anniversary of my son's passing last August, August 19th. And when I just saw the date, I just went, ooh, oh, that's an anniversary of my son's passing. And so he spoke to me this morning when I first woke up and go into meditation. And he said, I don't want the anniversary of my passing celebrated. That would be celebrating my death, my transition. He said, I am very much alive, very much here. So let's celebrate our time together. Let's celebrate my life, not my passing.
Mhm.
And I thought that was interesting. So it was a reminder to me, we're eternal. So even if we make our transition, and we all will, none of us want to face it, none of us want to know the date, but we all will. And it's so for me, it's very encouraging to know that it's just like opening a door, stepping through
Yeah.
it. That's why we call it a transition, because you are not dead to the world.
I would love to reframe that as a graduation. And I think,
Yes, I
you know,
like that. It's a
when
good
you think
observation.
about you go through 4 years of college or 2 or whatever years you go through, or you go through your program to get a master's degree, and you're working, you're studying and everything. And when you step up on the stage to get your degree, you are not now losing your life. You are not dying, although that which you
You are
have,
dying to the school life.
yeah. Now
Yeah.
you've opened the door to another entire world, and I think death is a graduation,
Yeah, I
and
like it.
and life being born is a graduation. We graduate from the dimension that we were in into this one, and sign up for the class that we are going to take called life, and it's well taught. Uh, there's no blank spots in it.
Another affirmation that I heard was told, I heard in my meditation, when I was wondering how would this happen? How would that happen? Um, how would I make enough money? How would I support myself when I was going out on my own? And I was told, you will always be provided for. So this is spirit talking to me. You will always be provided for. And that has allowed me to take great risks.
Mhm. Yeah,
And in truth, I have always been provided for. I've risked, things that I don't know how they will turn out, and so it's been a big adventure. It's been I'm really glad that I did that without fear,
really,
because it allowed for some great growth and experiences and travel and different things. So that's a good thing to keep in mind if you start worrying about financial. How will this happen? How will that happen? And just know that it is God's nature to be prosperous, to be generous, to be abundant, and therefore that's your experience.
really.
You don't have to know how. You can um, just expect it in the affirmative. Of course, you move your feet in that direction and do what you can. But the thing that holds so much good back from your life is the fear that you have that you won't,
Mhm.
that it won't be provided for, won't be taken care of. And so I believe that has been very helpful and can be helpful for everybody, because the more you worry about, oh my gosh, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if I'm destitute and on it's just scares you into,
Mhm.
and so you're creating more lack in that sense.
Fear is easy, and fear can often become our companion, and fear can often eclipse everything else that we're doing. And without meaning to, we are just living in fear. I see this all the time, especially when I go to the pool. When I go to the pool, there's usually at least 3 or 4 people who want to talk about all the things they're afraid of. And they want to talk about how bad it is and how afraid they are that things are going to get worse. One of the things that really struck me recently when I went to the pool was Judith and I have committed our lives, our entire working careers to being in service. And being in service has not always meant the kind of income or the kind of retirement or the kind of benefits that would have been true for us had we been attorneys or lawyers or stockbrokers. So here we are, having chosen a course that does not necessarily give us the remuneration that another field might. I'm in the pool talking to a retired doctor, talking to a retired dentist, and talking to a retired accountant. We're all in the same pool. What's interesting too is when we're all in that pool talking, how interesting they think my life was and how interesting I think their life was. And you see, there's no such thing as I have less than unless I say I have less than.
Mhm.
And we're so much more than I think we often think of ourselves as being, and that interrupts our ability to simply be still and know that God in us is working through us.
Mhm. Exactly. Like the affirmation I shared not long ago, which is from the Bible. It's from the Psalms. Be still and know
I was thinking
that
of that.
I am God.
Yeah.
Because and as you say that, you can be acknowledging God that is there for you, or the God in you. It's all the same God.
I saw last night we watched a special, it was a documentary, amazing, an octopus. Octopuses have 3 hearts. They have a brain in all of the 8 tentacles that they have. They can grow a new tentacle if they need to. They're very fast. They're very smart. And they have at least a dozen different things they can do to camouflage themselves so that they don't get eaten. Okay, so what's the story here? Powerful, capable, amazing, and vulnerable. That's all of us. And equipped. And so they use strategies to help them manage the life when it's dangerous, and they have them. They're available to them. We do too, and we're not alone in this world. We don't have to do it by ourselves. We're not alone even when there's no one else in the room.
So we invite you to practice the way of the wise warrior, the peaceful warrior, because we're all one. We're all one in God, whether people know it or not. So there's no need to fight anyone. It makes me very sad to see when countries fall into the need they think for war, because we're all one, and it's just not the way of the wise warrior. It's the way of the unwise warrior, as the quote said about fighting windmills, always ready to a fight to get
Mhm.
more, have more. So we know that in this life we all have challenges, and we're all maybe the challenge is to grow, to be more, to do more, to have more. That's a valid challenge, and you know that too. You know that you can have that too.
When I went to college, I started college. I didn't know that I thought this, but I thought that I needed to know enough to go to college, that I needed to know a lot to go to college. I thought, and I started taking courses, and the first thing I learned in college was what I didn't know. I signed up for 4 years of learning what I didn't know. Why do we think that this life is different when we get out of college, or that when we signed up for the University of Life, why did we think, or why do we ever think that we shouldn't have to learn lessons, we shouldn't have to memorize or figure things out? It should all just be easy, or it's all going to be against us. You know, the university that I went to was never against me. It was actually for me, although when I was studying, it never felt that way. But it was. And the
Of course
challenge,
it
the
was.
challenge is to say, I'm here, open and available to learn what's next. And I'm excited to find out that there are things I don't know that by tomorrow I will know. Discovering a new world. Well, I
Mhm.
think we've done really well with getting through this quickly, and
Yes.
unfortunately, our time is running out. But I'd like to have us end with an affirmative prayer, if we could do that, and then we're going to speak to a couple of other things. And for those of you who are going to be here afterwards, we're going to play some music also that I think you will enjoy. So let's do an affirmative prayer.
And let's also invite people to stay and chat afterwards.
Yeah,
When we stop recording, we'll stay on, and we invite you to stay with us and chat, ask questions. And
sure, sure.
okay, so would you like to do the closing
I'll
prayer?
begin. I'll begin it, and we'll kind of play it by ear, because I think
Okay,
because actually I don't know what I'm going to do.
that's
You don't
okay.
know what you're going to do.
That's
And
okay.
that's a wonderful place to start, right? So, what I do know is that the mind of God, the consciousness that is God, the power that is God, the joy and the love and the kindness that is God flows through me and is not interrupted by fear or doubt or worry or conditions or the appearance of blockages. What I know to be true is that God working in and through me right here and right now changes everything in my consciousness for the good. So I say yes to the good. I say yes to health, yes to abundance, yes to positive relationships. I say yes to the working out of anything that may have been working in and through me that was harmful or hurtful. I say yes to the end of all of that and to new beginnings. In my consciousness right now, I push this incredible reset button that says all that is past is past. All that is future, and I am right here now, fully present in this present moment, and I love it, and I'm grateful for it, and we are grateful for it, and together we say, and so
So
it
it
is.
is.
I guess I didn't leave room for you to.
No, you didn't. That's wonderful. So, um, and now we are going to invite those of you who are watching or watch in the future to uh, share in support of this organization. the Center for Spiritual Living of the Palm Beaches. And what we have here is a picture of our website. And this is the address of our website. We put it up here so you could just see how it shows up. And when you go to that first page, you see here ways to donate. And when you click on that, it shows you ways that you can donate to our center. And I also want to point out here under spiritual coaching, we list all of our practitioners who are available to help you with any challenges that you have by doing affirmative prayer. And so let's see, can we do this so that we can
I'm
see
trying,
this?
that's what I'm trying to do.
We thought that would all fit, but
It does fit, but
appears not to.
I need to go full screen if I can figure out how to do full screen. I don't know where it is.
Is that it?
No,
Okay, let's take this off. Here? Oh, it's
Yeah.
full screen behind
no,
us.
no, that's
isn't
not, that's not the one. Okay.
it? Okay.
Well, I just have to
So-
do the best we can with it.
Okay, so we'd like you to say it because this is as you donate to good causes wherever you do, and we hope you include us in that. As you state this affirmation, my investment today is made with the full realization that God is the source of my supply.
And it went away. Okay. So this,
So as God is the source of my supply, I give gratefully and willingly, and I know that it is returned to me, pressed down and multiplied. And so it is.
okay, stop. Okay. So we're going to end the recording here and